Delhi, ancient city, sprawling metropolis and the political center of India. Here, the British built the new imperial capital, New Delhi, and of all its grand buildings one still has pride of place. Built as the palace of the British Viceroy of India, it is the symbol of empire, but less than 17 years after it was completed, the empire retreated. Viceroy's house became government's house, and eventually Rashtrapati Bhawan, home to the President of India. In 1911 the King Emperor George V declared that India, the brightest jewel in the British crown, was to have a new capital, New Delhi. Between 1911 and 1916, 300 families were evicted from the villages of Raisina and Marja. This was to be the site of New Delhi. Construction began under the supervision of the then Viceroy Lord Hardin. Edwin Lutyens acknowledged his immense contribution in these works. The city owes its being to Lord Hardin. The Ashoka Hall. The Ashoka Hall is the most spectacular reception room in the Rashtrapati Bhawan. The central mural on the ceiling was a gift from the Persian king to the British monarch. It was sent to India to adorn the ballroom of the Viceroy's house. The border below it is a grand procession of elephants and camels, kings and queens, people and palanquins. The canvas was painted in a style shared by India master miniature painters who hails from the ateliers of the Mughals and Rajput courts. The carpet with its perfect pattern was woven with Kashmiri carpet makers, famous for their skill. In contemporary India, the Ashoka Hall is used for state functions and ceremony in the presence of the President. The Dwarka Suite. The Dwarka Suite in the south wing of the house was a set of private rooms designed for the Viceroy. The attached bathroom is unusual and one of its kind. The State Library. The long table, the many rare books, stacked safely in specially designed shelves. The paintings on the wall, these were all created for this room. The books on the shelves are priceless, many rare first editions. The library has been restored by the 13th President of India, Pranab Mukherjee. During his tenure the President ensured the restoration of several rooms, to the grandeur that Lutyens had attempted for them. Edwin Lutyens was active in the arts and craft movement. He believed in using the skills of human hands to create extraordinary structure of brick and stone. The ceiling of the state corridor on the south wing was painted and gilded by Indian artisans under his supervision. The Mogul Gardens. Lutyens introduced water bodies into the plan of Rashtrapati Bhawan. He had been influenced by Gertrude Jekyll, a professional gardener of great ingenuity. He had learned from her how to bring natural and organic elements to the larger frame and environment of the building. The 15 acres garden based on the Mughal charpal with water channels and fountains, keep alive the state's organic connection with the garden city of Shahjahanabad. The long drawing room. The long drawing room in the central wing is reserved for large meetings and conferences. Facing this room is the south drawing room, where high-level meetings are held. Diametrically opposite is the north drawing room, where state guests are personally received by the president and entertained to high tea. The walls of this room are adorned with large historic oil paintings, including one of Lord Mountbatten, the last viceroy, swearing in Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru as the first Prime Minister of India. The Banquet Hall. The Banquet Hall is dressed always and ready to welcome any head or important figure to the state. It has a sit-down dinner capacity of 100 guests. The crockery is monogrammed, as is the cutlery and glassware. Images of earlier state banquets, hosted by former President of the Republic, have been captured for posterity. The Durbar Hall. The overlapping circles of the chandeliers are a recurring, seen through the building and gardens, a quirky motif inspired by the round spectacle frames of Edwin Lutyens. Down the corridor through the imposing doorway is the central Durbar Hall. It is understated in its overpowering elegance. Directly under the central dome, this Durbar Hall is bounded by tall bell capitals like those in the forecourt named the Delhi Order, by Latins. The floor with its bold design is polished to perfection. Crimson velvet banners hang on the walls. The room encased under revolted ceiling. From the center of the ceiling, hangs a 2-ton crystal chandelier that has lit up national award functions. Little did the British realize that the imperial viceroy's house would become the center of independent India's republic. The Cabinet Room. In the Cabinet Room, the historic discussion on the partition of India and the modalities of the transfer of imperial power to a sovereign democratic nation were argued and resolved. These leather chairs are mute witness to those deliberation. The hand-painted map on the upper wall showing the air and sea routes between England and Jewel in the Crown India were executed by team of Indian painters led by Munshi Ghulam Hussain, under the supervision of Percy Brown, a British archaeologist and artist. Less than 2 decades from the completion of the painting, liberations in this room marked the beginning of the empire's decline. In 1947, Britain transferred power to India. A year later, Raja Gopalachari became the Governor-General and the first Indian to live in what was now the Government House. In 1950, India became a republic and the Viceroy's house became Rashtrapati Bhawan, the office and home of the President of India, the head of the largest democracy of the world. Well, that was all for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. If yes, please like and share. Also do subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon for regular updates. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you.